Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we are going to be talking Season 4, Episode 3, Breaker of Chains. And joining me today, as always, is Johnny B. Crazy, aka Johnny B. Baelish, and the leader of hashtag Too Sexy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Hashtag too sexy Sansa. Hello, Sansa. No, very excited. Chaos is a ladder, and I've sown the seed. I can't even do it right now. Whatever. Anyways, uh, very good episode. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me on. Johnny B. Baelish is back. Of course, hashtag too sexy. I got to get the salt and pepper look going, but yeah. Very good episode. After, the Strangler got a hold of Joffrey, metaphorically and literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Strangler. Ooh, the last episode is it's a crazy one, and it's another one of those most well-known episodes of Game of Thrones. Um, so I guess let's jump right into it. So pretty much this episode starts off moments after the last episode with Joffrey lying dead and basically screaming that Joffrey did this, or not Joffrey, had this done to him by Tyrion. And it basically seized Tyrion and Tywin screaming, "No one leaves the capital, bar every ship in the harbor," and they're looking for Sansa. But lo and behold, Sansa is with Sir Dantos. So, what do you feel about this uh, few scenes here?
Yeah, of course, Cersei's gonna be mad, and she instantly has probably been waiting for Tyrion to strike back. She's definitely not in her right mind in this moment, and I get her anger. She pulls a cat here and takes Tyrion. I didn't even think about that. She pulls a cat Tully. Um, and going after this, we immediately see him talk about what it makes to be a good king to Tommen. They're Sansa and Dantos are getting away, and later we find out why Dantos is really doing this. But Sansa's in a state of panic too. You got to think she doesn't even really know what's going on. Um, but she's coming to my boat, and we will see her later. Um, yeah, it's just a good state of fervent panic, and the way Tyrion's just standing there holding the cup's priceless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this episode starts moments after the last episode, you remember, oh, this is how the last episode ended for people who watched this when these episodes were airing. It's like, ha! Getting to see Jack Leeson again lying in dead is kind of a funny thing, but not so funny because it's the murder of a young person. Um, but a more hated person. But the fact that now they want no one to ever leave the city or the capital is kind of crazy. But with
Tywin barely gives a shit too, right? Like,
yeah,
hey Tywin, what do you think needs to be a good king?
mm-hmm.
Joffrey's dead. We can't worry about his ass. We got to
Yeah.
think ahead into the future.
Then
That just goes back to his whole giving, only caring about the family name. Although only a mother could love Joffrey.
mm-hmm. And when because she's basically scurried away by Dantos if he wasn't there, and if for sake of argument she didn't save him all those seasons ago, meaning about 2 seasons ago, how different um, the projected part of her storyline would have been. Would she have died? Probably. Would she have been put on trial? Probably. It's either one or the other. Um, or Baelish would have had somebody else maybe um, get her out of the capital, because we see that pretty much they're the only two people leaving the capital. And even though the bells are tolling, nothing, all the common folk don't actually care that these two are running away and the bells are tolling.
Now, this is immediately after Joffrey drops dead and they escape. This is a kind of a flashback, and it can be confusing. But this is a flashback to immediately after as well.
Hmm.
So that's the only reason people aren't really looking at them twice. The gold cloaks, or no one is on the lookout yet. The bells are just ringing, but still, it is funny. That's suspicious as shit. Someone had to see them. That's what's kind of messed up later is the way they did this, passing people, not really taking the dark alleys, all that. Someone had to have seen them, and you hear no trace of them later. So, but
And
you know,
it's, I guess it's not a continuity thing, but it's probably just to move the story forward. Like they could have maybe had a small folk be like, yeah, I saw her, but I don't know where she was going. She was with some guy, but like, would that actually have made any steps forward? Probably not. But then we get to her getting on the boat with Dantos, and she asks, where are we going? And he says, somewhere safe. So, and obviously they get to Baelish. So I guess for Sansa, her piece of safety, in a sense, is with Baelish. And obviously, Baelish basically tells us half of the story
you'll be
as,
safe here with me, Sansa.
yeah,
Don't worry, no one can hurt you again.
as to
I'm
why um, Joffrey had been killed, and obviously to get rid of Sir Danto so he can't squeal, he obviously has him arrowed down. But he says that we're safety and that he's taking her home or taking her to the Eyrie to family. So yeah, got that. That man. Ooh, but hey,
No, he says home. Does he say the area? I think he just says home.
yeah, like home or taking you to safety, home. But I guess you can kind of think that like Lysa is home, family,
Yeah.
um, at this point.
Mm.
It is her mother's, like, or her mother's sister's home. So yeah, because at this point, no one knows about Arya, really. Rob,
Going back to killing Talissa too. You saw what happened to Dantos. You know,
mhm,
uh,
whoever's
dead spies.
expendable,
Don't tell anyone about it, even under torture. Ha.
killing whoever's most expendable to, what is it, to further your cause. And spies are pretty much expendable. Uh, but this scene too is where they allude to the fact that it was the necklace that held the strangler, uh, and that it basically was nothing, um, because he's like, I had it made like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, that's that sort of scene.
Yeah, just had it made especially for you, Sansa. Whatever.
Hmm. Now they're going home. So this is Santa's sort of arc outside of. Now this starts the arc of Santa outside of King's Landing, um, which is, it's a slightly terrifying one for her because she has to deal with more psychopaths. Um, but it's a cool one, especially with what we know now about this, um, the rest of the seasons. The the next scene we have is Marjorie and Elena, and basically Marjorie saying that she feels like she's cursed because her first husband, being Renly, preferred the company of men, while Joffrey uh, liked to torture animals and died at their wedding feast. But Elena says that pretty much, even though that both of her husbands have now died, she's in a better position than she was 2 husbands ago. Um, so, what do you think about
She was
ground?
married to Aenys and Maegor.
Mhm. Yeah, pretty much. And
Betrothed. Sorry.
and
Whatever you
mm,
want to call it. It's never consummated, I don't guess.
yeah. Um, well, it was like a marriage, but not fully like legit marriage. But you can say that. But well, you can kind of say that. Then what that makes Tyrion and Sansa's marriage then, if it was never consummated. So that brings up a question. So it's like they're still, even though he died, they were still technically married. But Olenna, our alliance with the Lannisters means every bit as much as it used to, like two
Well,
hours ago.
if it was consummated, she would be queen.
Queen.
Marjorie would be queen. So I would still say that Sansa and Tyrion aren't married.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel like they'd have to do it over again and then consummate, blah blah. But who knows with the show?
Mm-hmm. But do you think about how, like, basically Olenna is now inferring that Tommen is now the next person that Marjorie gets to marry? Because it's a scene that kind of comes with Tywin speaking to Tommen about this. Um, what did you think about like that whole thing where Olenna's like, yeah, we're still in the running. You're still in the running to be queen. It's just you have to marry now, even further down in age.
Yeah, it's just not even that. I think she basically saw Tommen as the best option here.
Mm-hmm.
Agreeing. I think if there wasn't a viable option, she would have waited to. She probably wouldn't even have killed Joffrey, maybe until after everything had passed and she had borne him an heir. At this point, you have a better alternative, a more malleable alternative. The younger he is, the easier to shape his mind. Plus, Tommen is just a kind soul. Everyone knows this. Um, so I think it's just a great decision, probably by the best mother slash grandmother in Westeros.
Best grandma award goes to Olenna Tyrell slash Olenna Redwine. If that was her, I think that was her maiden name. If my memory serves me correctly. Um, but yeah, she's an awesome lady, and I'm surprised. She should be one of the next characters that we break down on your channel. Uh, because
Yeah, we'll do that soon.
because of how epic she is. Maybe for I don't know if it would fit, but it'd be kind of cool to do her for Mother's Day or Grandmother's Day, which is sometime in the next few weeks.
Best butts, her and Septim Mordain.
Oh,
Actually, she was a go look up. She's a looker. Honestly,
yeah,
beautiful woman, Lady Olenna.
yeah. The
She was
next
good.
the next scene that we have is Joffrey lying in state with Widow's Wail, Cersei, Tommen, Tywin, and the faith, not the faith militant, but some septons watching over what's going on. And basically, Grandpa schools Tommen and how it needs to be king and talks about past kings and
Yeah.
what their
Grandma.
strength was.
Hey, buddy, now to be a king, you want to be a good king? Let me give you a lecturing how to be a good king in 10 minutes. Just listen to me. You'll be okay for the rest of your life, bro. That's basically what Tywin does here. He is right about a lot of things. A boy king in himself hasn't had a chance to learn as much as he should. Tommen it isn't in the books as much as we've seen past kings or past boy kings that are heirs. Tommen didn't expect to be in this situation, and you can almost tell that Cersei didn't expect him to be. I feel like he would be groomed just a little bit more, but he's seemingly kind of daft. He's not very smart. Tommen's a sweet boy, but not very smart. And again, we go back to the easily malleable, the easily influenced nature of Tommen, and the fact that he's a child. Tywin's just sitting here trying to influence him. I mean, I think Cersei kind of knows this, but she can't stop it. And she knows that her father probably make better decisions at this point. But he's just planting the seeds for Tywin to become the most powerful person, period. And, I'm sure he wants to place his counsel around Tommen before he dies as well. I don't know. I'll shut up about it.
Yeah. like this scene, you can really see how Cersei is very scared, especially when she's talking to when Tywin's talking to Tommen about what makes a great king, and then he's like, "This king relied on this, and that's what got him killed. Even your father relied on strength and not bronze over brains, and that's what got him killed." And like they go over a few different kings and a few different kings that we know from Fire and Blood and from history. And you can really see that Cersei is worried about the claws that Tywin's going to put into him. And then it's over the next couple of episodes where he's like, Marjorie's going to put her claws in him, and you're going to put his claws in too, and you're going to rip him apart. Like, this is where she's really worried about her son, who's probably about, what, 12, maybe 13. If Joffrey's supposed to be maybe 15, 16 at this point, or 16 maybe, or say maybe he's like 12, pushing 12 for like, so she's worried about him, and it's her last son. It's her baby boy, even though she calls Joffrey when she's talking to Jamie about, this is our baby boy that's now lying here. That's even more of the baby, and he's the more innocent because she knows what Joffrey did. But now to have this tender soul be now this massive ruler, she's going to struggle with that, especially since she knows that, well, she couldn't marry Marjorie to Joffrey, so now her last baby is going to be married to the whore Marjorie Tyrell. And then, because they talk about too how dynasties have to be continued with Tommen, and Tommen's kind of just like towing the line of like, I understand, but I don't know 100%. And it's that weird pseudo like, let's talk about sex with grandpa. And at the same time, after they leave, Cersei and Jaime have a conversation about avenging Joffrey. What did you think about that, even though it kind of leads into another more controversial scene from the show?
Um, I mean, yeah, Cersei wants to avenge Joffrey. I'm sure Tywin wants to avenge his honor. But Tywin's not going to rush to it. And he sees some benefits here, as we see later with Dorne, like you're talking about leading up, that Tywin wants to make an alliance with Dorne, mainly because of Daenerys. And Dorne is the only one that withstood Aegon's conquest. And, well, Daenerys is marrying Aegon a lot here, especially with the three dragons and the black dread at her side, Drogon. And I think this is why Tywin is going with Tyrion being guilty. So he can dole out justice and make his daughter happy, also gain an alliance with Dorne, which they desperately need at this point. It's basically killing 2 or 3 birds with one stone. He already stated in the last episode, or no, 2 episodes ago, how much he despises Tyrion and wishes he was never born. So this just goes back to that point. Would he have let Tyrion die? Maybe, maybe not. We kind of will never know. Um, I think it's left ambiguous to us. But it's possible. I think that's the only way to get Cersei to shut the hell up.
I think it's mentioned later, like right before Tywin is executed, that he's like, I wouldn't let them murder you. I'd give you some other form of like punishment, because you're a Lannister. He made, like, the fact that he's the lowest of the Lannisters, that he wouldn't be like executed, because then that brings kind of in this moral sort of compass with Jaime murdered his king, but there's no repercussions for it. While Tyrion, who actually didn't murder Joffrey, gets to have this trial. So it's like balance, how do you balance the scales and how do you not show complete favoritism? So in a sense he can't execute Tyrion. Um so I don't know. And
Yeah, I mean, given that, what are your um I guess what are your thoughts on the scene after this?
the I guess
Creepy
this
eye rocks.
yeah, the creepy eye rocks, which they don't really show very often. I think it's like the second or third time that they've shown the eye rock. Um, but this scene, you really see that Cersei is vulnerable. She's lost her firstborn child, and now I feel like this is really where she starts to at least think about Mikey the Frog's prophecy, and especially what Tyrion says: "The day will come when you are safe and happy, but joy will turn to ashes in your mouth." Vague, like pretty much. I didn't say it probably in the correct order, but yeah. So that's what she thinks it is, but it's also the spawning of the whole Maggie of the Frog birds. The gold be their crowns, gold be their shrouds. So this is where she's like, I thought I could avoid this for a lot longer, but now it's come right to the gate. Like it's right here. And what happens after that is not um, what she wanted for her life. And when Jamie shows up and pretty much asserts himself onto her, which is one of the more controversial scenes depending on how it's depicted. Uh, it kind of makes you feel like it's left ambiguous, but it leans more to one side. And as we know from articles and such, it was not intended to be a rape scene. Um, I don't think even George knew that it was being written that way, because in the books it was more consensual when it not consensual, but it was written as a weird way to reverse Jamie's arc, like 5 steps. What do you think about like how that kind of paints Jamie's arc actually? Um,
And it was written as a sex scene. It was acted as a sex scene. It was just edited bad in the bad camera work.
mm,
Um, it was just a mess up because it, yeah, just that's pretty much it. But
yeah.
because it was supposed to be consensual, you'll see there is a actual shot where she pulls Jamie to kiss him, pulls Jamie's head into hers, and they actually even shot it like a normal sex scene.
Mm. No, but like what uh like if it was even though it's directed as obviously a normal sex scene, but if it was considered or if it was actually a rape scene, how do you feel like that would have regressed his coming up back again from that arc that he kind of built for himself the last couple seasons?
It would have completely killed the arc, um, for the most part. But I don't know. People probably still view it as that. Um,
Mm-hmm. Arya, yeah, here we go. Arya and the Hound, and pretty much they come across a miller and his daughter, which is actually the miller's house, that he and Beric and Thoros come upon in season 7, I think episode 2 or 3. Um, so what do you feel about like how this whole sequence goes down and how the Hound and Arya act?
well, it's tough. You know, the Hound shows a little bit of softness, but we see his lack of faith and cutting him off in the middle of the prayer and pray that the stranger doesn't kill us for no damn good reason. And just takes the rabbit stew or soup, which is very good apparently. I'd almost like to try some. They tore it up. And the farmer talks about how hard it's going to be. You can kind of see the concern in the hound's face, knowing they're probably not going to live or make it through the winter. And then the silver's brought up, so he sees an opportunity. He sees the world as all bad, and the only way to survive is to only the strong survive, basically. That's how he sees it. He's not really in for helping for the most part. We see him struggling with that throughout all of this. The way he's taken on Arya and Sansa has been a break in his overall character or the way he looks on the world, and they're slowly changing it for him, and that's kind of what we see here. Um, he would have killed the guy with the hog cart if Arya wouldn't have stopped him. Here, he still goes ahead and does something bad, but he doesn't kill the man, which he very well could have. And you can say it's on the man and the girl that, he should have sought out some kind of refuge, but hey, there's probably no one around for miles. Got a little girl, an older man. It's a rough thing. Just shows how hard and cruel this world is, and they both give each other lessons right here. They both learn from each other. That's the beauty of this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mic drop.
Yeah, yeah. Another really. And sorry for the dishes in the background again. But yeah, this relationship really is kind of again a funny one. That they're learning more about each other and developing and all of that. And obviously we see of this um, and how the Hound really is a bad person, but it this like a second what would be the second half of this scene isn't played out until later on. But yeah, just showed that Hound is still a little bad, even though he has good in Arya around him, but still towing that line. The grayness of Standor is still out there. The next uh, scene that we have is at the wall with Sam and Gilly, and pretty much Sam thinks that there's 99 men in the Night's Watch and only one woman, and pretty much that he thinks that she's not safe there because of the rapers and the murderers and the torturers, and that he's decided that she will be safest, her and little Sam will be safest in Molestown. So, yeah.
I Okay, so I kind of see where Sam's coming from here and kind of don't. This happens in both book and show. Does this happen in the book?
I just, I assume so.
I can't remember. Let us know in the comments. But I worry about you, and you can see that Gilly kind of really likes Sam. And it's not like Sam's the only person she's talked to. She's had plenty of people to talk to. We just haven't seen it on camera. She's had weird interactions here and there. But sending her to Molestown. I don't want you here where all the black brothers are, but let's send you to where all the black brothers go to have sex. Uh, and it's kind of a tough thing, but Sam doesn't necessarily know what to do. How all he knows that he wants to do is protect her. And in this episode, Sam the Slayer is mentioned for the first time in a while. I think for the first time in the show. And
First time
the,
ever, yeah.
the fact that he wants to protect her makes me all the more think he is going to be the one that strikes the final blow of Night King, protecting Gilly and that baby with Heartsbane. What's he got it for? He hasn't given it to anyone. He could use it himself, or the Hound can handle a two-handed greatsword. I still see Sam doing something to save them. He wouldn't be the unlikely hero without it, and that's who Sam is, in my opinion, in this story, the unlikely hero. He's already did this a couple of times, and the foreshadowing is there for me. If you think John's just going to do some one-on-one fighting, nah, I don't think it's going to come down to that. If they do, they really made the storyline generic. Yeah, is John gonna have to be one of the people that helps defeat the Night King? Oh, for sure. But I do think Sam will strike the final blow somehow. Might even be with his eyes closed.
Yeah, I feel like the whole thing with Sam is it's important. And what is it? The most unlikely heroes sometimes become the hero. Jon Snow is portrayed as the ultimate hero of this story. So it wouldn't be surprising if his Night's Watch best friend, gets and brother pretty much gets to do what Jon should do. It'd be a complete shock. Not a complete shock, but it'd be a shock to a lot of people because a lot of people's theories are based off of Jon being the one to save everyone. So if it was Sam, I think that's really cool. And it just makes Sam pretty much a triple threat. Like, he knows how to fight, he knows how to write stories, and he knows how to save people medically. So it's like, here you go. Like, how much better can you get uh, for Gilly, for as a husband, I guess, for Gilly? Because I feel like actually, in the end, potentially, they may be the only people to get married. Is Sam and Gilly, maybe. Um,
And he wants that baby. Like there's like that might not be the only reason he's coming down there, but he wants the damn baby.
It's
There's
Craster's last
something
living
there.
son. So,
Makes you
and
wonder if the Night King can warg him without touching him yet.
maybe.
It's a Craster thing. But yeah, that's just getting way tinfoil because then you're like, oh, could he warg Gilly? No. Anyways,
Anyway, but who knows? We can speculate all day long. Um, but the next scene that we have is Davos and Stannis and them receiving the raven that King Joffrey, first of his name, is now dead. Uh,
you
Dun dun
see
dun
this
dun.
onion asshole? Joffrey's dead. The leeches work. You let him get away. You bastard.
You let Gendry, my nephew, get away. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a funny thing because Mel is not in the scene, and you would feel like Mel would just rub this in Davos's face even more than Stannis would. Um, and it's funny because in this he kind of starts reading with his lips moving, and he kind of gets called out on it with Shireen later. But yeah, it's like the fact that Stannis is like gung ho, like, okay, I killed Robb Stark and now I've killed Joffrey Baratheon. All I need is Balon Greyjoy to die and we good, fam. Like,
Yeah, why don't he just use a couple more leeches from his daughter instead of having to burn him alive? If that's the real thing,
mm,
whatever. Uh,
maybe he does it. Like, I guess this is where they wanted Stannis to not subject his daughter to more torture, but then about four, three more, 6 more episodes and a season later, he does. So maybe they want Stannis to just look like a
yeah,
good dad for right now, to make that ultimate betrayal, and 5-9 even more like, ugh.
it
Um,
really is. It really is. Doesn't this find out about? It's a book about the Sea Lord, first sword to the Sea Lord of Bravos. Kind of a shout out to Syria Farrell as well. And Davos has an aha moment. The Bank of Bravos doesn't care who you are, but if you have a good enough claim, you have something to bargain with. You have something to put a lien on, basically, and they can make money, and you can convince them. Well, they will back you. You know, it's like getting a low loan from any kind of mafia, except this mafia can reach out worldwide with a faceless man. And I think we're going to see that come into play later as well. Because now that I think about it, first sword to the Sea Lord of Bravos, the book. Shout out to Syria Farrell. People still think Syria might be jacking. It's possible because do think Mirren Trant, if he didn't kill him, he wouldn't tell anyone uh, that he got away. But that's never really touched upon. That could be some kind of twist they use in the end. I don't know how much I would like it, but while Franco barks at me.
it could be a way to bring Miltos back, or Miltos, Stereo back into the story. But it's just kind of like a little almost a little too little too late. Because we only have 6 episodes, so it's kind of a cut the fat as much as you can, but also make it still juicy, almost. Uh, but and Shireen's just so cute. She's like, you got to stop saying why is there a G in night, like that whole thing and how you pronounce stuff. Like you got to stop that if you want to be seriously believed as the Hand of the King. And then Davos writes the letter to the Bank of Bravos, and she's like, this doesn't sound like you. And he's like, it doesn't have to sound like me, it just has to basically sound smart enough for me to understand. But also, I'm surprised Stannis didn't really think about, okay, if Tommen dies, then I'm next. Like, all I have to do is just kill Tommen instead of going all the way around and um doing that. But another tinfoilish thought.
Yeah, maybe. At this point, still, I think the Lannisters would try to hold sway. I think they have enough pull to. That would be an interesting thought.
Because instead of,
I
yeah.
should just hire a faceless man to kill Tom, and should
Mhm.
have did that. No, that's a good point.
Because he's focusing on like the other kings, but it's like your nephew is the one that's sitting the throne now. So it should just you could just had another leech and just throw it on the fire for Tom and Baratheon, and who knows what would have happened, how different the story would have been. But again, I'm rambling. This is just the second half of Sam and Gilly's scene together, where basically Gilly is given room and board with just the pay of watching all of the other Molestown women's babies. And even though the innkeeper is just like, well, she could have different types of work, he's like, no. Um, while Gilly is kind of getting interrogated by one of the Molestown women about where she comes from. So
Gingivitis, the number one cause of all tooth decay. Bumblebee tuna. And all the warning signs for Sam are there for just him to grab her and go. I got other work for her, like you said. No, no, no other work. She'll watch all your babies and clean your clothes for you. Like Gilly's like, thanks, Sam. Uh, um, she couldn't get any better deal than this. That's kind of the first takeaway on the rewatch because we've seen it so many times. But Sam is trying to do right by her. Gilly is a big girl. She can take care of herself as we've seen, and I think Sam's relying on that. She doesn't even flinch when gingivitis gets in her face. So I like that. It's very cool. Not much to touch on this scene, just kind of a semi-emotional moment of Sam trying to keep her safe. Go ahead.
I guess this is just this her being placed there is just the necessary, I guess, connection that we get in I think in episode 9 when or episode 8, sorry, when Egret and the wildlings invade Molestown and Egret and Gilly have that looking at each other moment. Uh, so I guess it was like kind of that sort of thing, maybe. But yeah, Gilly just like I just came from one version of hell, and Sam, you saved me to put me in another version of hell. What kind of almost boyfriend are you? Um, and he's like, and Sam's just like, I'm sorry, but I have to do this. It's like you could have kept me there because I know you'd be safe and stuff. But yeah, poor Gilly. Uh, she's a
Yeah.
Gilly's riding the struggle bus really hard for these first couple seasons. She's just like everywhere she turns, every stop she gets, just gets more bumpy.
You
Um,
could say it's slightly getting slowly better for her.
yeah, but yeah, because I think it's like after she has to leave. So it's like after season 5, the bus starts to get smooth sailing. Um, the next scene that we have is basically Oberyn, Alaria, and have some sexy fun times with a few people in Baelish's establishment before Tywin comes and basically says, Oberyn, let's bring you back. Let's bring Dorne back into the fold, and you can be named on Tommen's small council. So, what did you think about this?
Well, this is where we see the plan kind of laid into fold. Why Tywin doesn't give a shit about Joffrey dying. Why he's willing to let Tyrion take the fall because he has this in plan. All he needs to do to really get Dorne is have Oberyn get his revenge. Because Tywin still, to this day, takes no responsibility for that action. Does not admit to doing it. Admits to sending the mountain there, but does not admit to the rape and murder of Elia Martell and the babies. So Tywin thinks he can get an easy way out of this. Little does he know that the Red Viper of Dorne has other plans. They don't work out, but he does have a decent plan. He wants the mountain to name Tywin. But this all goes to Tywin just wanting that political power, trying to secure alliances for war, uh, possible marriage, and he knows that people want revenge. He knows that Oberyn has a vendetta against him, and he's going to do anything to quell that. And if he has to kill him, he will. But it doesn't need to. He doesn't need another enemy at this point. He's smart, but and ruthless, but not savage to the point where he's an idiot about it. Most times.
Mm-hmm.
There's my rant.
Yeah, my only thing really to add to this is that it's the first sort of real admittance of bisexuality in the show by Oberyn, because it's the question of, so you like both genders, or like you like both sexes? And Oberyn's like, yeah, why not miss out on the other side of pleasure, because you get to enjoy both. And he talks about like pretty much as you get older, basically that becomes more, you become less desirable. But Ilaria goes, well, he's the Prince of Dorne, he'll be desirable until the day he dies, which is like slight foreshadowing. So what happens,
Everybody dies though, so
yeah. And then when he's talking to Tywin, he's like, I could just kill you right now, and what would be my repercussions? So it's like, what would have happened if Tywin had been murdered in Littlefinger's brothel? How different this would have been, and how almost the trial would have been different, because it'd be like Cersei almost in charge of the trial, maybe as Queen Mother. But I don't know. That was my only like 2 bits and such.
I think Oberyn wants to hurt Tywin more than just kill him. Wants to hurt him like he was hurt. Go ahead.
So the next scene we have is Tyrion with Pod, and pretty much Pod got a pat down before he came to visit Tyrion, and he basically says that you're basically been convicted of murder and your wife has now disappeared. So this is what we have to deal with. What did you think?
Yeah, I got you some sausage, some cheese, and a placer, not a playboy. In Westeros, it's called a placer. And then you have the play lady for the females. Yeah, it shows how much Tyrion cares for Podrick, how much Podrick actually admires, respects, and loves Tyrion. Didn't even take the bribe for the knighthood, knowing that he's probably going to get killed for it. Tyrion just calls him dumb, but I mean, Pod's very honorable. This is just endears me even more to Pod, and Tyrion's taking it quite well for being locked up for his nephew's murder.
Yeah, I feel like if Podrick is to survive this whole series, that he will be knighted by either Jon or Sansa. I don't know if he'd be knighted by Daenerys, but something will happen to Pod where he'll be raised from just a what is it, a squire. He'll be raised up, because why else is he still, like, I love the character, but why else is he still alive at this point other than to be raised up to some sort of stature? Um,
Brienne and John will die, and he will dual wield Oathkeeper and Longclaw and just go berserk on the Night King in a furious rage.
that would be epic television, especially because Daniel Portman is the respective actor. He doesn't really have much scenes. He's just always like in the background in the shadows. So if we come back to season 8 and all of a sudden like Podrick's just this master of sword play, would just either be like a like this is so funny, but also oh my gosh kind of moment.
It does like a triple somersault and then starts with a dual wielding Valyrian steel blades doing some damn karate drop kicks the Night King.
Especially because of how he pretty much uh, can't live up to Brienne, as evident in like season 6, where Tormund's like, "You're a lucky man," so or 7. So,
Holy, oh, holy,
so we have
no.
baby Ollie next, and pretty much the wildlings, basically Ygritte and Tormund's camp, has now infiltrated the north and has killed. First, they kill Ollie's father, and then kill Ollie's mother, and the Magnar of the Thenns, I believe. He goes, uh, um, "I'm going to eat your dead papa. I'm going to eat your dead mama. Go tell the crows at Castle Black." So, poor Ollie and poor Ollie's people. Like, imagine you just living your life. You're growing you're growing food, and you're growing all of this stuff, just to survive. And then all of a sudden, wildlings come and attack you and your family, killing them. Not just killing them, but then killing them and then eating them. Like, for a child who's probably what 10, maybe years old, uh, this is it's quite traumatic, don't you say?
Suck it up, Ollie. It's just an arrow through the forehead. And you didn't see him get eaten. I'm joking. No, it's pretty awful. I mean, no excuse for him to stab John, but you have peer pressure there, a young, malleable mind, which we were already talking about in Tommen earlier. And what he's seen, you can't erase. This goes back to kind of how Arya feels. You know, if you're really mad at Ollie, you could be mad at Arya too. Now, has Arya killed any innocent people? Hmm, hard to say. Were Ollie's parents innocent? Don't know. Haven't seen many innocent people in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So you could put Ollie in a few people's shoes, Sansa, Arya, all these people that have lost their family's shoes. How you handle it and who you're raised around is a big deal. This boy has to be raised at the Night's Watch now. Half of them are rapers. We literally just talked about, I mean, Sam talks about it this episode. So it's like being raised in a prison when you're just a normal kid. You're gonna be fucked up in the head, period. If you're not, then I don't know. You know, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like being sent to, like, a 10-year-old being sent to an adult maximum security prison. Like, it's not good. But yeah, we'll talk about this probably coming up. But I don't kind of blame, this is like a whole thing with the fandom. It's like blaming Ollie for the murder of John. I don't really. He's a child, and if what actually happened to you happened, like Ollie, um, it's kind of forgivable in a sense. Yes, it's because it's the big character that gets killed by one of the smallest characters in the show, um, literally and figuratively. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of a it's a debate. Put it in the comments. What do you think about Ollie? Is his killing of John justified or not? But speaking of the Night's Watch,
His
yeah,
pain is justified. I don't know about the murder, but
yeah,
I mean, it's understandable, and you can see how he came to that conclusion.
mhm.
Justified, that'd be hard. Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Should be a righteous great time.
So the next scene that we have, speaking of the Night's Watch, is Alistair Thorne and the rest of the Night's Watch have gathered together in, I guess, the mess hall to talk about what they have to do to secure themselves for when all of the wildlings come south. Uh, it's confirmed that there's only about 100 men collectively at the Night's Watch, including stewards, rangers, builders, and I can't remember what the other. No, I think
And
it's just
Maester Aemon.
and Maester Raymond. So they're in a dire situation, especially because John told them that there's 1,000 men at Castle Black. So you really realize that John told a lie, and this is kind of contradictory to what John says in the season 7 finale of like, I don't like to tell lies, or like lies aren't ever good, or something
John is
like that.
George Washington,
Yeah.
especially at Hard Home.
So, yeah. So this is just kind of a so we're really understanding like what the logistics are, and you really in this moment think that they're gonna lose, especially with 50. What is it, 100,000 men versus 100? Uh,
Yeah, and it's the key point. We are the watchers on the wall. The hell you watching for, Eamon? Tell them about it, man. Um, you know, yes, the others, they take no part in the wars of the realms of men. When the others come, is it still a war of realms of men? I'm just getting into
logistics.
yeah, a philosophical logistics debate. But it makes you wonder what they forgot. Seemingly, they have forgotten something. Also, we find out about what happened at Craster's Keep, or the Wall does, that Carl Tanner and the boys and Rast are just chilling, drinking out of Gior's skull, I think, which is, to a lot of people's point, pretty much impossible unless he worked on it a little bit. Um, just for cinematic effect, they could have did without that, but still. Um, Ed's back. He's alive. Grin's back. Kind of happy about that. And, John admits that they don't have the power to go. They don't have the power to go save them. So we're going to get this Lone Ranger vibe, and a few people are going to be sent. And then doesn't announce it yet, does he? Or did they announce it at the end? He
I
doesn't
think,
he suggest it?
if I remember correctly, it's at the end of this, because they do go before, um, I think Watchers on the Wall. I'm pretty sure. That's if my memory serves me correctly. Yes, because they go get Ghost, because they have to go get Ghost, like, cause Ghost comes back with them. So yeah, uh, the battle for Craster is, I think, episode 6, 7. I
Yeah,
think.
because he has to go get. Yeah, he makes a point. He has to go get to them because of the lie. They'll tell him while the wildlings are pulling their fingernails off that um, the truth. They won't keep that to themselves,
Mhm,
especially given what they have.
mhm.
Yeah, so he's gonna go back there with whoever the hell. We'll see Locke pop up,
Yeah,
because he's just cool like that.
yeah. Locke will is joins them. Pip and Grant, not Gren, but Pip stays behind Gren and Ed to go there because they're the better of the swordsmen and stuff. So it's like it's a few. I think it's about 10 to 20 of them go up. Uh, so yeah, we have that, and it's cool to see them back again. Even and Dolores said it hit the what is it, the Eeyore of Westeros.
He's the Lord Commander. You better respect.
He's not Lord Commander yet.
He's Lord Commander right now. No one else is. John gave him the duty. He gave him the
He
duty
said
to sweep
duty.
the wall's booty.
He said duty. Oh, and yeah, Pip. I don't think I can kill 100 wildlings.
Yeah, not at one time at least.
No.
Um, but you can, you got the big wall size, and
Hmm.
well, we'll see that. Yeah, Watchers on the Walls, good episode.
It's
Lots
one
of
of
good episodes coming up. I would say that we do have some letdown in between episodes, but we'll get into that. Still love the show. Don't think I'm bashing it because I still love the show. But I critique it because I'm a fan, and that's what we get to do on here. Shut the hell up. I'm talking to myself. Um,
I'll just have to freaking do this.
don't you hate it?
I'll just have to do this.
I'm too
Uh,
sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts.
oh yeah. So we get to if we skipped a scene, I don't think we skipped one.
I don't think we did.
Um, but we basically we see that Danny has reached Marine and that she is going to now start her conquering of this free city. And basically, Dario fights for kind of her honor almost against a Milanese knight, soldier, um, whatever you want to call it. And she basically has a speech about how she has saved the people of Astapor, the slaves of Astapor, and that they're free and they stand behind her. She's freed the slaves of Yunkai and they stand behind her, and that now she is here and she's basically ready to save them, and that whatever they may have or may not, and the masters, whatever they may or may not have told their slaves is untrue, and she catapults a bunch of callers into Marine. So,
Okay, so first off, I would say smooth move, but her presentation, smirking the whole time, very more than sure of herself, came off more than like super duper cocky and arrogant is how she came off, not confident. Uh, but fantastic move to pull, catapult the collars in there. How did she not accidentally kill anyone? We will never know. But it's good. Her speech was good. Now, all those people behind her, I didn't see any people from Yunkai behind her. The Astapori were the Unsullied, and that's all I saw. Now, the way she presented it, that's what I mean. The way she's like, and they're all here. And the way that kind of thing is like, oh, look, they're all on my side. Only my side's the good side, which is fine. Um, But she comes at this all wrong, right? She's still not thinking about the aftermath of what she has to do. She's not taking care of Astapor or Yunkai. She's not taking care of the political situation there. She's conquered it and left it. She's left people in place, but not a system in which to replace the old one. People are set in their ways and they don't know what to do unless led a lot of times. And this is her trying to figure out how to become a leader. And she doesn't want anyone to fight, but Dario fights for her, and this seemingly endears her a little more to him. Now he has nothing to live for or die for, basically, or basically live for, and his name will be forgotten. His name is nothing. It'll be nothing when he dies, blah, blah, blah. Being very dramatic, but, he doesn't give them a good show. He just kills them really quick. It was cool, but funny still. I still think it's funny the Marinese night taking a piss. Uh,
yeah, gotta have you gotta have some moments of levity uh, in this. But yeah, she's still trying to learn how to be a conqueror, kind of. But like in terms of trying to build up a society after you take a lot of its people. Um, yeah, kind of said what you were saying better myself almost.
she's
And
getting ahead of herself, right? Just a little
she,
bit. I mean, I can't say I still like Danny up until this point, but she's getting ahead of herself.
yeah, she's going a few steps faster than she should have. Yes, because they have to get her. and to put her in a position to get her to go to Westeros. But and this is the first time we see Master Krasnir, not Master Krasnir, the what's his face, the one she has to
Oh,
marry in a couple up, or
uh,
she's engaged to be married to. Oh,
something Kravitz. I know it's not Kravitz.
hold on. And
Zorak Low.
there's
I
his
have
dar,
the name
his
of it.
dar, his
Hizdahr Zolorak. That's it, right?
yes.
Okay.
It's just so we get our first glimpses of his dar, who is still an unnamed master at this point.
Or as
Um,
Drinks and Nose calls him, Hizdahr Kravitz.
yeah. Um, yeah, they have that scene, and they have to have the obligatory, Danny, I mean nothing. You just like, I'll do it. I'll be the one that saves, gets you to go into the city, like doing almost like the pity, almost like trying to have her take pity on him. And
Well,
they have that whole little bit of a scene of like she's kind of worried about like like a horse is charging at him, and he's just like standing there like la, 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 la. Like almost like if he had a phone, he would have been texting someone or like taking a selfie or something during this, and then he just throws the knife, and then the horse just dies. So and the rider is killed like after that, but
it's pretty anticlimactic. But it's good. It's kind of akin back to um what would you call it? Kind of what Braun does. They're a
yeah,
lot.
cells
They're a lot
like
of the same type of
kind of
fighter.
like
People
how a
say Braun
salesman.
fights like a wildling, but he fights straight up like a sellsword. If you compare
Mhm.
him to Dario, they almost fight exactly
Yeah,
the same. So
they fight very similar. Um, but it's like a and he uses the arak.
Dario has the Arak
Mm-hmm.
and Unagi, and Braun uses a longsword, but
Mm-hmm.
still,
Well, it's different fighting weapons, but it's similar style. So yeah,
for sure, they always go to that dagger first,
yeah. So the
especially in a dire straits.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Mm.
we got to this is where we get her whole breaker of chains thing, and this is where the um episode title comes in. So it's like roll credits, and yeah, this is the end of the episode. Basically, Danny has now at the gates of Marine, and she's ready to conquer it and own it and love it and name the bay that surrounds it the Bay of Dragons coming up. So
She wants to hold it and squeeze it and love it, and she's gonna be stuck here for a while. So she should have took her time and asked the poor young Kai. You're gonna love my rating.
okay. So now that you've mentioned it, what is your rating for this episode?
Well, my rating is 8.5 over and O faces.
All right.
And I enjoyed this episode. It was really good. Hardly no action at all again, uh, but it's okay. I liked a lot of the setup. Danny scene was really good. Everything we had in King's Landing, aside from the awkward sexual scene that threw everyone off, that was just freaking edited poorly. They even say it themselves. They admit it. Um, that's why I give it an 8.5. I'd give it a 9 or 9.5 because it's super solid episode dialogue wise. So many things kind of happened. We see all the trappings of what children have to go through in this world in this episode as well. So that's where I'll
Especially,
leave it at.
yeah, especially like royal children. But yeah, this episode's really good. It sets up the next couple of episodes. Um, and yeah, Danny just doing her Danny thing. Cersei and Jamie and their kind of somewhat weird rekindling, and Tommen becoming king unofficially, and Marjorie. So my rating for this episode is Olena's Oma opinions, which if you don't know what Oma is, it is basically grandma in German slash almost Polish, I believe. So it's Elena's Oma opinions, which means it's just like, this is what we got to do, and you're gonna do it because I love you, but you're gonna be queen, and yada yada yada. But yeah, Olena is awesome in this too, and this whole episode is very well done. Um, yeah, so we got all of that and much more to talk about next. So the next episode that we're going to be talking about is episode 4, Oathkeeper. So this is where Jamie gives Brienne the sword that was meant for him, and Brienne names it Oathkeeper, among a few other really great things that happened in that episode. So tell us where we can find you, Johnny. And
I will. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm sure you'll see me on the next one. You can find me on my channel, Johnny Be Crazy. Saturday, we're doing Fire and Blood, Chapter 13, The Dying of the Dragons, the Blacks and the Greens. It's the start of the Dance of Dragons, people, so come check it out. Fantastic episode. Mackenzie L. Burns, John St. Baptiste, and Bran the Bearded Builder will be on. Also, tonight. What the hell am I thinking? Is it tonight? Friday night, whatever. This is a podcast, so I'm screwing up. Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, the Cylon Johns will be covering Season 2, Episode 7, Home Part 2. Very good episode. If you want your mind bent, come check it out. If you want to have a good time in a chat, come check that out. You'll see me on more episode clubs coming up, and there'll be podcasts coming out. Quickie of Ice and Fire coming out Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Bassinia Targaryen this week, and the week after will be Torrhen Stark, the King Who Knelt. So we'll be covering a lot of people in the Quickie of Ice and Fire series. So check it out. Leave a comment about your favorite character, and it could possibly make it in the video. So, with that, thank you, Sasa, and I'll shut the hell up now.
no, it's okay, because we always have long spiels, so why not? You can find me on this channel that you're on right now, covering every episode of Game of Thrones. We are going to be doing episodes 4 and 5 podcast style, so we can have Tyrion's trial as our next live stream. And yeah, we're barreling towards the end. Will be more and more podcasts pretty much every day or every other day. There will be an episode coming up because we have about 30-ish more episodes and about a month and a half to get them all out. So a lot is coming up. You can find me on Johnny's channel. You can find me on Cylon Johns and pretty much everywhere. You can follow both of us on Twitter, Instagram, and all that fun stuff. And we will see you all in the next podcast. Bye, everyone.